pessoal da Emerald, eu sou o Ricardo. Tô aqui com desenvolvedores do Saviourless. Tem crítica feita por mim lá no nosso site. How was this journey for both of you? The concept of the game, and now you're in the gamescom.
Yeah.
That's
Well, the game started as an idea in 2016, but in Cuba. That was for a short period of time, a bright time for Cuba in terms of the future, because relationship between Cuba and US, that you know that always kind of enemies, come together. Obama gone to the country, and as a result of that, a lot of American investors and things come to the island. That's where I meet Innovadores Foundation. That was a startup based in Cincinnati that they were very fond of the game. They take me to US, to New York, and we made a crowdfunding campaign that was completely new for a Cuban of any kind. And the second day we got trending for a surprise, and the sixth day we get totally funded. So that bring a lot of press and attention over Saviourless, not only for the game, because also Cuba was a hot topic back the day. And you know, a lot of press, I mean like Rolling Stone, Polygon, Kotaku, all the big guys. And essentially we feel like, hey, we made it, even without a demo. But you know, luck don't last. So less than a year, 6 months later, come Trump as president, and all relationship between Cuba and US completely soared. As a result of that, the American embassy in Havana was closed. That means that we could not travel anymore to US to look for funds or gain visibility. The foundation that was helping us was expelled from the island. The former programmer, David, the one who worked at the time with me, left the project. And over all that, a Portland studio from US registered our original name Savior. So that made that all the marketing and stuff do it before was completely lost, and we have to rebrand our name as Saviourless. In the time is when David come in, so I will let you do cut from there.
Yeah, we started our first meeting when we decided that we will work together on Saviourless. We decided that we will work 6 months on a demo and then find a publisher. And we would definitely find a publisher because the game had a huge press before, no? Well, it took 4 years of us finding a publisher, trying to find a publisher, and iterating over and over and over the demo just to make it good enough for a publisher to take such a big risk. Remember, this is 2 guys in front of the computer chatting with a publisher, asking things like, what's the name of your company, or how would we sign the contract with Cuba, what's the legal framework, and we simply don't have answers for any of that. So it took 4 years until we found Dear Villayers, the publisher that signed with us. They took a huge risk with us because it's our first game coming from a 2 guys team in Cuba, so it's really hard to find a legal framework for everything, no? So, and then we started developing Saviourless. It took 3.5 years of development, and it launched on April the 2nd. And then we were invited to gamescom latam here in Brazil, and here we are, really amazed by all the great feedback of the players of Saviourless.
For sure. I read the critics to talk to for all this process. And of course, made some difference because you put your feelings in the game, and you can see that. And we're talking earlier about combining games, genres. How was this part more technical? How was this process? Because there's the outside thing, the troubles, the bureaucratic troubles, and you have the engineering troubles to become the game more the way you thought and the way you're originally talking. This is the game we wanted.
Yes.
How was this process?
Yes.
Well, this game for me is very personal. I say I have 2 sons, my son Renato and this game Saviourless. It's essentially a reflection of all the things I want from I was a teenager or a child playing video games, and it's amazing. I put in that all, like all the things. I come from a background as visual artist, more kind of conceptual artist. So essentially that's the way I structured the game, based in narrative, and then come all other above that. I discovered later that it's kind of difficult because people who play games, I don't want to be general about that, but generally the approach of the game is very shallow in terms of it's instant gratification, push button, and go on. So, and a 2D platform kind of reinforce all that kind of view. So it was difficult to bring all these ideas I have to this format. Instead, we decide that scene of have several players, several characters, that the story was a non-linear construction, even when a 2D platform is a very linear kind of game. So like it's kind of like the structure is like cut in piece and rearmed together, and all the art and all the scene is very symbolic. It's like content that echoed in other content that is not always like a direct representation of what it is. Saviorless, I will say that it has a very symbolist approach in everything. Everything in Saviorless is made or put to mean something that reinforce this general idea that is about control, a reshape of reality through this control, and essentially that even reality itself is a sort of narrative. It's that I decide to choose a cinematic platform because I think it's a genre that expresses very well that kind of interest that I have.
It's with Saviorless, we basically built the game that we wanted to play. And it was a very nice experience to be there, just saying, oh, it would be amazing that Antar could ride, it would be amazing that you could control the marmot. And then we said, okay, let's do it. And then we developed the marmot and all the animations just right there. When we were developing the level, it would be nice to control it. Let's go for it.
Frog.
Yeah. Suddenly, I would like the game to have frogs. Oh, let's make it rain frogs on this level. Let's do it. That's the game is almost finished,
Yeah,
and then we decide, okay, let's add this character because we would like to play this way. Oh, I would like this small game, this mini game here. So we really only thought on what would be the game we would enjoy to play, instead of, oh, this genre, you can do this, you can do that, because you may scare the player out, this difficulty may not be the one. This is what works for us, and given that, the game did amazing. If you take into account our level of freedom and not taking into account the marketing and everything, and in players in general, only us, the game did amazing, and people love the game because it's a different in terms of how many times it surprises you with new things.
Yeah, I think that in that way the people could feel that what you play is genuine. You know, it's not something that we don't put there something with shop value for the sake of it, or let's put this thing here to be cool or something. It's exactly what we want, as David say, and that is.
One of the things when I wrote the creative was about the game so served like a dark fairy tale. It tells about stories, about gameplay, the combination of these two. And when you conceive all of that, the idea, when you finish, you say, that's exactly what I'm thinking, or it could include more things, make this universe more bigger, or tell more stories.
Let's say.
It's a difficult question.
So. No, you definitely could make a second Saviorless game. And I think because the topic we confront are kind of infinite, control and reshaping of reality are issues we're dealing just right now, not in terms of fantasy of a game, in terms of reality itself. But the game Saviorless, to be true, is a very circular game in a way that there are not many questions not answered once you play the game. And even if you see the two endings are not two different endings, are two complementary endings, more than people used to describe it as a classic good and bad ending, but no, I say that we have an ending and an epilogue. It is very different. So essentially, we come from a very narrative, and even more than narrative, very linked to literature structure. And the game I see represent that in his own. Of course, when you did with symbols and with symbolisms, you could go deep as long as you're ready to involve yourself, with experience. If you want to approach to saviorless only in a gamer as a gamer action approach, of course your lectures of it will be more simple or more basic, and that is good. It's nothing bad that some people get to one point and to another. You could read, I don't know, The Castle from Kafka, just a story of a guy who could not enter a building, but you could go deeper on that and add layers of concepts, of emotions, and significance in
being a programmer. During the development, I was aware of the first layer of saviorless, but me as a developer, I was discovering through the process of creation all the things that saviorless meant. So once you have the game finished and you play it at least 2 times and you get time to realize everything, you get the same feeling than me. But my point is, the first idea, the world of saviorless, you need to think about it on many layers to understand it deeply. Even for me, one side of the development, that was my personal experience. So yes.
And one thing that I talked to you guys was it's a very personal experience, because like you both said, everyone can understand deeper in this process, deeper in the story, and it's a short game, but it's about you can play it more than one time. When I ended the story, we can talk about more this universe. We can make maybe a sequence. I like the game. I will assume I love it. Maybe a sequence, maybe another game with the same mechanics, with the same like a story, combining the genres. You guys already have thinking in this next step.
That's a classic answer to that. It's a pretty difficult question right now for us, because as I tell you before, when we talked earlier, one thing is the dreams you have. Well, we spent 8 years in that dream, so essentially we're not like kind of quitter guys or anything, we have to say. But at some point you discover that a game is also, and sadly, in my opinion, a production. And that means you have to take in account other issues more than what you want to express and what you want to do. And that expressing terms, for example, of viability. You finish a game, I love this thing of mixed genres. It's a personal step of mine, but right now it's not maybe too smart to go in that direction if you have not too many funds, like is our case, or too many resources. Because essentially that will mean that you maybe are trying to make a kind of niche game, or even worse, a flop game. So it's hard. I think we don't take in account at all the profitable side or the economic side or even the production side in all that long time we made saviorless. And I think I don't want to betray all these things and really interest me and care about. But also I think in case we make a second game together, I think we have to take in account more the production, the time we spend, where we put the resource, and what kind of game we made. I answer you honestly, I'm dreaming a little, and on a personal level, David have other thinking about that. I think I will move probably to a more narrative, visual kind of game, and maybe letting a little aside more the gameplay aspect of the game. I'm very interested. I'm more interested and I'm in love about video games if how narrative could be reoriented in terms that you control that. You don't have that in a book because you're more a passive reader. In games, it's kind of different. So I definitely would like to be close to that feeling. But at the same time, you could not forget that this kind of narrative game, conceptual game, are hard to sell, have not a great audience. So it's it's something we have to take in mind very deeply and think about it. I'm sorry for not give you a right answer about that, but even we now don't know for sure what will be our next step, or even more, what will be the more smart step we could make right now.
There was a window that we decided to fill with the process of developing the first indie Cuban game and reach everything, no? And we wanted that game to be the game that we wanted to make, no? But that bet, it's not aligned necessarily with the possibility of doing another game in terms of revenue, no? So it's very hard to make the same decision again of spending 8 years, 6 years, making a bet that it doesn't necessarily gives you the resources to do a third one and a fourth one. So Saviorless is very valuable in the sense that it was created in a window that we could not take into account anything, because we just wanted to put a game on the international market and we didn't care about profit with it. But for a second game, that's a really hard bet to make, because for a second game, you would want it to allow you to make the third and the fourth, no? So that's the in-between that we are now, no? Like thinking how far we have to go from the ideal we want to make the game that we want to play to be able to make the third and the fourth.
Thank you guys. Congratulations for Saviorless. It was a work that I really enjoyed to play it, to write about it, and man, congratulations. This kind
Thank
of
you
game,
very much. Thank you very much.
That really the meaning of an indie game. And I really
You're putting color on me, man.
I really respect that. Bom, gente, a crítica de Saviorless tá lá no nosso site emeraldcore.com.br. Siga a gente nas nossas redes sociais com @emeraldcore e até uma próxima.